On a gorgeous day in Wisconsin, we welcome you to NBCSN's live coverage of the ABC Supply Company Wisconsin 250. It's round 12 of the Verizon IndyCar Series for 2015 at this much-loved, historic, famous circuit, the Milwaukee Mile. And rookies like Sage Karam there even know the importance of this one. He's won here in junior categories. See if he can do it now in the big time, and that just underscores what a beautiful day to go racing it is here in Milwaukee. Time to get things going. Let's do it.
Milwaukee race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in all of sports. Please welcome chairperson of ABC Supply Company, Miss Diane Hendricks, to give the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
Ryan Briscoe has his best starting position since he was with Team Penske in 2012. Today, he has his best opportunity to get his first win since that same season. And for Joseph Newgarden, it's the first pole ever. Yes, he said that's significant, but he told me a few minutes ago, much more significant, that he's got a little while, at least, in clean traffic today with nobody in front of him. Katie?
Rookie Sage Karam is on a team with some of the winningest drivers in the Verizon IndyCar Series, but in qualifying, he beat them all for a career best start of third. He's already won here twice, and today, he's hoping a third time's a charm. Robin?
You know what? Elio was one of the fastest guys in practice, but he never got to show anything in qualifying. His team was late getting in the qualifying line. He didn't get to go, so he had to go to the back. He starts last. He's never won here. He's got 29 victories. He's never won Milwaukee. It looks like it's going to be a tough chore today, too.
And Robin, when you talk about a tough chore as they stream onto the track here, think about the contrast between Fontana, the last race, and the race happening here today. There's 250 laps of Milwaukee. This is a racetrack where the drivers say you have to get up on the wheel. You have to grab a hold of the steering wheel. You have to be aggressive. You have to have confidence in the car, especially up here in turn 1 and turning into turn number 3. Today, these drivers are going to earn their money. 250 laps. The track is hot. It'll be changing. The tires will wear. They'll definitely earn their money, Lee.
And Jan, it's just one of those tracks that produces good racing, interesting things each and every year. Hey, don't miss a chance to get in on Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes by entering at shophonda.com. Today's lucky winner on the right-hand side of your screen there is Michael Drews from Edgewater, Florida. He's taking the ride with Martin Plowman. Hi, Michael. How is it?
Good. How you doing? Holy cow, this is unbelievable.
We'll leave you with it. Enjoy the ride. Martin's doing a great job, and simply by logging on to shophonda.com, Michael won this opportunity to start today's Verizon IndyCar Series race with Martin. So enjoy that. So I know some of you have been with us throughout the afternoon. Thanks for doing that, because we had qualifying immediately before this broadcast, and you will have seen 24-year-old American Joseph Newgarden notch up his first career pole position. We just heard from him recently. That's a huge bonus for him. However, the big talking point, Townsend, is there are some big names and big teams a lot further down than where they are used to starting.
Yeah, all the way through the grid. Will Power, Simon Pagenaud, and then of course you go to Castroneves. Castroneves got to be careful here. If he doesn't get a good start, the leader's going to be coming around to lap him very soon.
It is busy, it is demanding here, and we're going to get some spectacular footage from the likes of Elio Castroneves, who has the streaming cam for Adrenaline On Demand. Download the IndyCar 15 mobile app to get amazing live streams from in-car cameras and a whole lot more only from Verizon. So Elio will give us this kind of almost unique view for him coming from the back of the pack. Marco Andretti for Andretti Autosport has the Verizon camera giving us this view and some others as well. Marco really likes this track and could be a contender today. With thanks to Novo Nordisk and Novolog, Charlie Kimball gives us this view. And Graham Rahal has this with thanks to MyJack products, and he will be a contender. NTT data shows us TK Tony Kanaan, and Ryan Briscoe has the Lucas Oil. We are ready to go racing in Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Mile. Tony Kanaan on the outside. Newgarden got swamped, and right on the inside is the rookie Sage Karam, that red car. The black and red car is Karam in third. The rookie is charging hard.
Sensational start for Karam, drove up the inside. Briscoe really came out the worst of that, is all the way back to fourth, and Graham Rahal's powering up the inside.
Rahal on the inside. These two guys were going at it 2 weeks ago in California. Ryan Briscoe in the gold car up against the wall, and he holds that position. He's not able to
Look at Bourdais on the outside in the gray. 2-3 wide as he makes that corner around the outside. You can do that right now as we see James Jakes looking down the inside using that black rubber. You can make that move now, but later in the race there'll be marbles out there and you will go straight into the wall.
You're right, Paul. There's huge urgency here for guys to make moves as Briscoe looks to the inside of Sage Karam and makes the pass. Nice job. He has a great race car ride, Briscoe, today.
He said his car at Fontana 2 weeks ago, he was one of the few who could hold that low line, and he's doing it again. Gabby Chavez tries to go through on the inside of Sebastian Bourdais, and the rookie almost lost it.
Boy, he came unglued there, didn't he? Went high.
Now he gets swamped by Juan Pablo Montoya. Scott Dixon's looking for a way through as well.
And Paul, you said it, you've got about 4 or 5 laps here to make your move, and after that, it's really tough to stay close to the car in front because of the huge air that these new aero kits, the huge hole that the aero kits punch in the air creates a lot of turbulence for the trailing car.
What you've had, Townsend, is you've had everybody has been running on that high line, staying off the black groove of the track. Now you're seeing guys start to flirt with that lower line. That groove will get rubbered in as we see Marco now using that lower line. That groove will get rubbered in over the next 100 laps, and I think you'll be able to use that line more effectively for a pass. But really right now, the fast way is the high line.
And there you see Scott Dixon driving all the way down to the yellow line, trying to get clean air. We're on board with Marco Andretti. That's Dixon up ahead. And Dixon trailing Charlie Kimball, I believe.
You know, one of the keys to this race, if you're out front, is just to control the pace of the race, time out, you know, when you catch lap traffic. So for Newgarden, he is really in the catbird seat as we see Sebastian Bourdais. This is a very good track for him. He's won here in the past. He'll probably move forward, but Newgarden will want to control the pace and time out the traffic as it comes.
Well, now for these guys like Sebastian Bourdais, who's currently running 7th, as they slot in here to a pace, they immediately start thinking about saving fuel as we see Elio well at the back there, currently running in 21st, made up a couple of spots. But I was going to say, you can start saving fuel if you can go 63 laps on a stint.
Yeah, but he's already 16 seconds behind the leader, and it's a 22-second lap already in 3 laps.
If this goes green, last year, you got to remember, Paul, we only had 1 yellow. If this stays green for a long time, you can do this race in 3 stops.
Elio trying to charge his way through, but look, this is how quickly things happen. Here they come. So that's Joseph Newgarden, who has a 3.8-second lead over Tony Kanaan, the pole sitter, who got challenged very early on in this race, is now running away with it.
Big lead in 5 laps, a 3-second lead, so he is very, very hooked up as we see Briscoe coming back now. Had a little bit of a bad start, and now he's coming back on Kanaan.
And this will be neat to see Joseph Newgarden go to work on Pippa Mann to try to put her a lap down as we're back on board with Briscoe working on Kanaan. Briscoe and Newgarden were so good going low right here, trying to get clean air onto the front wing, running onto that black patch. And it doesn't come easy, guys. You can see Briscoe working the wheel very hard.
It's a big weekend for Ryan Briscoe. His wife Nicole hails from Wisconsin. There's a lot of family and friends here supporting Briscoe as he continues to fill in and sub for the injured but recovering well James Hinchcliffe. And incidentally, Hinch is here today at the track supporting Ryan, James Jakes and the Schmidt-Peterson organization. It's Joseph Newgarden with a 3.5-second lead over the NTT data car of Tony Kanaan and his former teammate Ryan Briscoe. And already our leader is lapping people. Joseph Newgarden, the pole sitter, the 2-time winner this year, off to a flying start here at Milwaukee. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Dry Fire, the fire-resistant base layer choice of Graham Rahal and the new breed of industrial athletes. You're watching the Verizon IndyCar Series here on your home of motorsport, NBCSN. This is race leader Joseph Newgarden, and somewhat of an awkward situation as he comes up on one of his team owners and his teammate, Ed Carpenter, to lap him. As we race lap 19.
And Briscoe has closed the gap considerably, almost 1.5 seconds over the last couple of laps. It looked like Newgarden got a little loose off of 2 as we came back from the break, but he cannot get by his teammate. His team owner's not doing him any favors.
Well, the last time he got close was at Fontana, and it didn't end well.
It did not end well. They both crashed. It was a double DNF for those guys. And David Hobbs, Tony Kanaan had an anxious moment, had to get out of the throttle, and that allowed Ryan Briscoe by, and Briscoe's gone on with it.
Briscoe seems to have got the car really in the groove now. These guys keep talking about the groove and how it changes throughout the day. But Newgarden has definitely lost a bit of pace, and now his teammate's not helping the issue at all.
Here's the move where Briscoe in the Arrow Schmidt-Peterson Honda was able to get by Tony Kanaan. So the order is Newgarden with less than a second over this car here. Ryan Briscoe, Tony Kanaan, Sage Karam, the rookie, is still fourth. Graham Rahal, Sebastian Bourdais sixth, James Jakes, Montoya, Gabby Chavez, another rookie in the top 9, and then Scott Dixon is in 10th. Where's Elio Castro Neves? He's worked his way up to 20th.
I'll tell you one thing. We've been talking over the last few races about downforce, drag, balance. As of right now, if you look at the last couple races, the Honda package has really been solid in traffic. At Fontana, all their cars were running up front, and so we see Briscoe now closing tight, Townsend.
Boy, really closing up on him.
Katie, tell us more about Ryan Briscoe.
Yeah, Lee, when I talked to Sam Schmidt, Ryan's team owner, just before the race today, he said Ryan's presence on Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports has been extremely refreshing. He didn't come in and try to reinvent the wheel. He came, he saw what Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports had to offer, and then added his take on it. He thinks he's been a great addition, as you see Ryan running second.
Running second, and he'll be soon will be challenging for the lead.
That car of Newgarden's there coming off 3 looked decidedly loose at the rear end to me. It was moving around quite a bit.
We watch Briscoe go into turn 1. It looks like he has the ability to follow in and then cut down onto this black pavement and get a little bit of clean air. And I think pretty soon you're going to see him be able to make a move.
What's Joseph Newgarden got to do here, Townsend? He's got to clear his teammate. How's he going to get it done?
Well, you know, it's one of those things where you've got the team owner doesn't want to go a lap down. Ed needs a strong race. He's had such a disastrous season, frankly, and it made some changes on the spotting stand too. You've got 2004 Indy 500 champion Buddy Rice spotting for Ed Carpenter now, and Newgarden is just working like crazy to manage both from behind and up in front. But Robin Miller, you've got a familiar face down there in pit lane.
Well, James Hinchcliffe, it's probably mixed emotions watching Briscoe do such a good job in your car.
No, it's not really. I mean, this team's like a big family, and you know, Ryan's done such a good job since he stepped into this car, and to see it qualify in the front row. He got swarmed by the second row there, but he's driving awesome right now. He's caught up to the leader, so I'm so happy for these guys. Long way to go, but it's a great start for sure.
You look good. You're feeling better every day?
Yeah, every day, man. I mean, it's been long, it's been tough, and there's still a ways to go, but at the end of the day, I've had so many good people surrounding me and looking after me, and it's made it the whole thing a whole lot easier.
So we're still hoping maybe some September, October testing?
Yeah, that's the plan, you know. I mean, if it was up to me, it'd be sooner, but unfortunately, you got to listen to the doctor's orders on this one, and, you know, I've got the one surgery coming up at the end of the month, and then from then on, it's, you know, sky's sort of the limit. So we're going to be working hard and trying to get back in the car as soon as possible.
All right, good to see James Hinchcliffe, Lee.
Yeah, Robin, it's terrific to see the mayor of Hinchtown back at the track and talking to us. Oh, boy, this is going to get interesting now. Check this out. There is traffic everywhere, and Briscoe in that gold Arrow car. Here he goes. This is for the lead of the race. Briscoe draws alongside, can't quite get close enough to Joseph Newgarden, who comes down now. This is tight.
Push it in there, as you see.
Wow.
Loose. Newgarden loose. He's underneath, and now he's using this traffic in front as a pick, Townsend. And if he can just keep it under there.
Well, but Briscoe is there, and Newgarden's getting a little bit of a toe on the traffic in front of him. And Briscoe doing everything he can to force his nose there. Newgarden working overtime at the wheel.
Boy, it looks loose going through this 1 and 2, doesn't it? I mean, it's lethal looking car.
Ryan Briscoe won here at the Milwaukee Mile in 2008. He'd dearly love to do it again, not only for James Hinchcliffe, but for Sam Schmidt Motorsports as well, Jan.
Yes, and when you saw Joseph Newgarden there, what a great example of what loose really is. He was fighting the car all the way up to the wall. And this shows you the difference of running in traffic and running on your own. He just left everyone for dust until he got in the wake of his teammate. And with that disturbed air, he apparently, it appears to me, as he's running a little less downforce. They run over 5,000.
4 to 5, just keep him back there.
5,000 pounds of downforce here. It looks to me like Ryan Briscoe's carrying a little more downforce, I think, as the tires wear, and you get in these situations. And now he's going after his teammate.
Well, if he gets by his teammate, there's still another car in front and another one in front and another one in front. So now it's going to be constant traffic as we see Briscoe now coming back again.
I just can't believe his teammate can't see the writing on the wall. Let him through and then let Carpenter block Briscoe as much as possible.
Goes for it again. Joseph Newgarden this time clears his teammate. Ed Carpenter. Carpenter goes down a lap, and he's going to make life easy for Briscoe too. Briscoe goes through.
As soon as he took the air off of Carpenter, that allowed Briscoe to slide through as well.
Clear.
You know, Paul, you made the point earlier. This is the first time in many years that we've had qualifying, practice, and the race on the same day. As loose as everybody is in traffic, it's going to be incredibly physical as we get close to the end of the race.
Aboard Helio Castroneves, and of course started dead last, 24th, and he's worked his way up to 17th. So slowly. Check this out. This is coming through traffic. Takuma Sato first up. Gets that done, and the next one on his list was his Team Penske teammate, Simon Pagenaud. And there's Pagenaud. Whew.
Yeah, it definitely shows when you have the momentum. Now he's probably, Roger's been in his ear saying, hey, come on, let's go. The leaders are coming around. We got to go. And he's on the move now.
He's 15 seconds behind the race lead. And this is the fight for the race lead. Briscoe versus this man, a two-time winner. He got his first win earlier this year at Barber Motorsports Park. He's going for win number 3, Joseph Newgarden. Quick reminder that you can watch today's IndyCar race online at NBCSports.com, on mobile and on tablets with NBC Sports Live Extra. We're racing at the world's most famous mile, the Milwaukee Mile, the oldest active track in the world. And we've got quite the race on our hands here today. Joseph Newgarden for CFH Racing, the newly formed team. This is their first season as Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing joined Ed Carpenter Racing. And so far, so good. Everything's working out. Two-car team now. Newgarden's leading the way. Briscoe second, Kanaan third, Sage Karam. And then we get back to this man here, the winner in Fontana, Graham Rahal in the Steak and Shake My Jack entry.
Just biding my time here, Rico.
Trying to make a big move on Ryan Briscoe early. Couldn't quite execute it. And then now has slipped into this rhythm. Doing well. Behind him is Sebastian Bourdais, who's the second biggest mover in this race. Bourdais made up 5 positions from his 11th starting spot. And Townsend, when they say that the Milwaukee Mile races like a road course, elaborate on that. And is that perhaps why we're seeing Sebastian Bourdais do so well so early?
Sure. Well, we're watching James Jakes here go through. Whoa, that was close to contact there. That's Coletti going up the inside of Tristan Vautier. And that's why it's like a road course. These corners are flat, next to no banking. You're running high downforce road course configuration. In fact, they run more downforce than they would on just about any other road course here. So very high corner G's, and it feels a lot like a fast road course corner, like say the Carousel at Road America. You're turning in, you're in the corner for a long time. And look at Rahal now putting a move on Sage Karam.
This is for 4th.
Sage is fighting back. He doesn't want to give it up very easily.
Karam coming off his career.
A little bit like Fontana here. A little bit of,
whoa, that was close.
Outside clear.
Graham was certainly not leaving him much room, but just enough to try to scare the kid. But that's tough to do with Sage Karam. He doesn't back down from anybody.
Scared me,
Nice job. On to the next one.
But I think that's why you see a lot of drivers like a Sebastian Bourdais, who might not be as comfortable in a place like Texas or Fontana. They're perfectly at home here. It's just like going through the Porsche curves at Lamar, any place else, as Castroneves hit pit lane.
So, lap 47, Kev.
So Helio Castroneves is the first to come in. He talked about maybe going off strategy a little bit, playing it more like a road course race. The car is pretty good. He said he wanted no changes, and Castroneves is back out and hoping to find some clean track to put some good lap times down.
Helio had made up 7 positions from his starting spot, so that's a good opening stint, Paul.
Yeah, that's just a questionable call right now, because you'll lose a lap doing that instead of waiting for a yellow or waiting to go on the same strategy as everybody else. But as we see Montoya now coming, so Kevin?
Kev, there's something not right with Montoya. He seemed unhappy. He was gesturing in the cockpit.
Let's watch and see what they do. Montoya has been running in the top 10. He was really confident coming in. Felt they had a good race car. He loves this track. You see there the front wing adjustment on both sides and no major issues other than that. So Montoya is back out. Katie?
James Jake said the key to his race today is to keep his nose clean. He talked about needing a little bit more rear grip in traffic. He qualified 5th earlier today when he nearly brushed the wall. He said he's confident with his race car. Jan?
And Scott Dixon also were getting some service. Scott Dixon and his team is the master at trying to adjust this car through the stops. His teammate Charlie Kimball will also be here. He's searching for some rear grip.
Marco Andretti coming down at 50 miles per hour. They lessened the speed limit on pit road from 60 to 50 to add to safety. Too many crew members have been hit this season. Marco said the car was good and he really wasn't sure what he had because he said they actually practiced on a qualifying setup by mistake, so they were simply guessing on what they have. Front wing adjustment, Jan?
And Will Power takes the opportunity to pit, obviously a few laps later than his teammate. Here comes his other teammate, Simon Pagenaud. So the Penske team splitting out their cars, but because there's no caution, this is all a very similar strategy.
We're right open here. 3, 2, 1.
You know, guys, watching the mechanics crank out, I mean, so many of those pit stops, we saw guys cranking out as much front wing as they can. Everybody seems to be getting loose here as the stint goes on. They're trying to take downforce out in the front.
A lot of change on Dixon's car, as we see maybe Kanan, we'll see if his guy on the front here makes a change.
I think they're going to take a turn of front wing out. Car's been pretty good, running in the top 3 so far. Kanan back out.
Kanan, who's a 2-time winner here at the Milwaukee Mile. Meanwhile, back up front, 1st and 2nd, yet to pit, Joseph Newgarden, Ryan Briscoe, Ray Hall. And then you pick up Wilson and Stefano Coletti, the ones yet to pit. So too Vautier and Carpenter. Replay here of Kanan's stop.
And you watch him and grab this front wing. Front wing adjuster there trying to take some downforce out of the front. Now our leaders are in.
And Joseph Newgarden, they're going to make a change at the front wing. They have done that. We know these as well. A nice quick stop. So Ryan Briscoe has not even rolled yet, and he has trouble. So no gap now for Joseph Newgarden.
Looked like the air jack failed at the back. Not the air jack, but the actual air line couldn't get in. They had to go to the spare air line. Big break for Briscoe. To have that happen, Paul, under green flag conditions is a killer.
Yeah. Not only to have it happen, but at least it happened at the beginning of the race. There's the onboard, so we'll see what happened here. They raised the car. The car's not going up. They can't get the wheels off, and it's not going. This is at least a 15-second stop here.
Yeah, hard for us to see here, but behind the fueler, you can just see the air hose struggling to get plugged in. He goes to the backup air hose. They're well prepared for the issue, but he's going to lose, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 seconds.
There it goes. That's a long stop.
Went to get the jack and so lost even more time.
Wow, look at this. Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, that was decisive.
Newgarden had no problem just blowing by Dixon. He's back out in front where he belongs with his car today in clean air.
So Graham Rahal, the leader, yet to pit. Bourdais on the inside. He just bulldozes his way through. James Jakes has to get out of the throttle, runs up into the grey, and gets back in. That was a good save.
And it'll take Jakes a full lap to get his tires cleaned off after running that high already this early. There's dust, there's marbles, and it's very tough to get your tires cleaned up.
The Rahal crew is set. They are waiting for Graham Rahal, the race leader, to come in. But Newgarden's car is working beautiful today. We ride with Marco Andretti in the Snapple entry. He goes past his old teammate, Tony Kanaan.
That's a strong move right there down on the inside.
Still there?
Graham Rahal said he has nothing to lose so far this season. He's going to do everything he can to win. He's complaining that they're a little bit loose in 1 and 2, but very happy with 3 and 4. He'll take no adjustments, just no fewer tires, Lee.
Well, he's about the only guy that hasn't made any adjustment to the car.
Yeah, it looked like he had a little problem on the outside rear. Was a little bit long, so as you see the leader, yeah, he's upset that they just killed themselves on the pit stop.
And all the way down to Ryan Hunter-Ray in 11th and more. They all blow by. Graham Rahal at the front now. It's Newgarden and Rahal. So rather, Newgarden and Dixon. Through goes Pagenaud on Rahal.
Rahal's going to pick up the pace, I think, and repass him pretty quickly. Look at this.
Look at how fast those tires came. He just left the pits, and he's already passing guys, trying to pass back Pagenaud on cold tires.
Well, he only needed to get through about halfway through 3 and 4 between the sheen and the new tires came off, and now he'll be a rocket ship for a few laps here.
So here's the revised order. Newgarden, Dixon, Montoya, Bourdais, Canaan dropped to 5th, Andretti up to 6th, Jakes, Karam, Chavez, and Ryan Hunter-Reay in the top 10. You're looking at CFH Racing's Joseph Newgarden, the 24-year-old American from Hendersonville in Tennessee. He has led 65 of the 70 laps thus far. It has been a brilliant day for the pole sitter. His first IndyCar career pole, and he boasts a 2-second lead over Scott Dixon and Juan Pablo Montoya, who made up tremendous ground on that first round of stops. And speaking of Scott Dixon, he's our feature in today's Chevy driver profile, and today's a special one for Scott, the 3-time series champ, making his 250th IndyCar career start. This guy just keeps racking up the milestones, and he seems to do it with ease, and nobody's talking about Scott Dixon's retirement anytime soon. They said he can drive for as long as he wants because he keeps producing the results, and it all started out like this. A fresh-faced Kiwi who started in IndyCar racing. There's Sebastian Vettel's old engineer, by the way. That was Guillaume Roquelin talking to him back in the old Pac West days. And after that, Pac West, when Pac West packed up and went home, Scott Dixon joined Target Chip Ganassi Racing the very next year right here at the Milwaukee Mile, and has had the most amazing career.
Vern Chupin spoke to me at the Belle Isle race when it was very early on in his career, and he said, I got this great guy from Aussie coming out, a New Zealand guy coming over, and he said he's a great kid. He was about 15 or 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And well, he was right. I guess he's had an amazing career.
Paul, you went through the bleach blonde phase.
Yeah.
That was about half a season.
Yeah, he arrived on the scene in an IndyCar at 19 or 20, and he's only 32, 3 now, so he's got a long way to go. And I see if he continues to drive like he's driving, the records will fall.
So let's update you on a couple of guys who had some negatives on their pit stops. Graham Rahal wasn't all that thrilled. He went from 4th to the lead to 14th after the stop. Let's have a look at this stop. And Graham wasn't too thrilled with it on the radio, but he got some encouragement and he's gone on with it. Look at the right rear. Left rear, we should say. Just a little bit of extra time there.
Oh, the wheel nut fell out on the right rear, so
wasn't too long of a stop, but it just goes to show you one small mistake. We see Briscoe trying to fight back after his slow pit stop. One small mistake in the pits really costs you a lot of time on the track.
Got another angle of Ryan Briscoe's stop. This will show you at the back. Watch this.
So you can see the mechanics struggling to get that long probe with the air attachment. He goes to the backup. Actually, he bails on the backup. He retries the primary, then the backup goes in. Finally, they get the air in the system to raise the car.
Meanwhile, the left front tire guy had gone to get the hand jack and made the stop even longer. Brian Briscoe now is 20 seconds behind.
Now, though Graham Rahal had some issues, it's important to note that nobody went farther on that first stint than Rahal. He did 60 laps. If he can get that sort of mileage and maybe stretch it a bit, that could factor in the end. He might be able to make one last stop.
And guess who did the same thing last year? Will Power. And Will Power won the race. Yeah, Briscoe hasn't been able to come back like Graham Rahal did. He's still buried down in 15th. Rahal, though, has made great progress up to 8th. This is Jack Hawksworth in the ABC Supply car.
Low cable, guys. Plug in the down low cable. Shut the engine off, please. And get your foot off the throttle. Off the throttle. Good.
This young guy who really dazzled us last year has had a very frustrating second season. However, this young man, Sage Karam, driving for Chip Ganassi, just seems to go from strength to strength. He's 9th. He was mixing it with him up the front from the start. Let's check in with Young.
And you may see Big Machine records on that car. Of course, the founder, Scott Borchetti, may recognize him as a mentor on American Idol. Obviously, you're great at spotting talent. What do you see in this young Sage Karam?
Absolutely. Sage is doing so good. I'm so proud of him. He's been running up front all day, and this is the kind of experience he needs. So just like music, you got to mentor these guys, encourage them, pull out their strengths, point out the weaknesses, and make them better.
And we know, obviously, your background in the entertainment industry. What has drawn you to racing? I know you're a big fan.
I've been a racer my whole life. I used to race back in the day, and it's just part of the big machine label culture.
Right. Have a great race. Hopefully he'll be moving to the front, and you'll still have that eye for talent.
Well, fingers crossed.
Good to see Scott here and supporting good young talent in Sage Karam. Paul, I know that Bourdais, your old rival and enemy in many ways, now you get on very, very well, but he's impressed you today.
Well, he's impressed me all weekend. This is a track where he does very well because it's more like a road course than a high-banked oval. He's in third now. He felt good in practice. He was a little bit wound up and annoyed. We had a sit-down with him on Friday about you know, how some of the rules are going and about the blocking and weaving and all the stuff at Fontana, but he felt like this was going to be a good place for him to really show his oval ability.
And he is, and let's not forget, he's a winner here as well. So he's making good ground. Change there. Newgarden, Dixon, Bourdais, Montoya, Canaan, the top 5. This has been a tremendous display from Joseph Newgarden, Townsend.
Yeah, and you've seen the confidence. I think from the very first session, we all walked out there to turn 1 and watched Joseph Newgarden on his outlap just come mocking into turn 1 with full commitment, and it hasn't slowed down since. He's been on the pace. Bourdais finds himself in much the same situation as Newgarden and Carpenter earlier. Teammates now, his teammate Coletti just ahead of him, already 1 lap down, and Bourdais is probably on the radio saying, can he do anything to help me?
David, who's got your eye?
Well, Bourdais is certainly one of them. Graham Rahal and Briscoe, and I just feel so bad for Briscoe having that terrible pit stop. He's actually picked up a bit of time in the last 3 laps. He's picked up 4 seconds on the leader, but obviously that's a long way behind. And Joseph Newgarden too. I mean, what a find he's been, really, and a great year. At his first pole, led the race almost from the drop of the flag, and you know, we're always looking for American drivers for Formula One, and he would be an absolutely standout, obvious choice to be an American driver in Formula One, having raced a bit in Europe too.
It seems pretty tricky now for an IndyCar driver, Townsend, to get to Formula One and these new super license regulations.
Just
explain that to us.
Just announced a new point system for Formula One to get your super license, and right now Newgarden is not even eligible. He'd have to finish strong in the championship this year to just get a few points. There's only 4 IndyCar drivers that are actually eligible to get an F1 super license.
It seems a little bit crazy, doesn't it?
It's crazy, absolutely.
Race leader Joseph Newgarden, he has less than a second back to Scott Dixon, but so far has been the strength in this field, leading 82 laps.
I'm a big fan of Tour de France. The first week has been incredible. It's been a bit like IndyCar racing. They've had diverse stages or courses, and they've also had their own issues with pack racing. It's called the peloton. They all get together and they do the drafting, and interestingly, kind of like Fontana, the reason they've had some big crashes this year is nervousness of the riders. They all want to be up front, they all want to push. So similar between the athletes trying to maintain their position. Today here in Milwaukee, it's all about track position. Same thing in the Tour de France, it just takes 3 weeks.
It has been spectacular in the footage. I mean, that's why it's so popular each and every year. So Joseph Newgarden continues to lead. There's been a change while we're away. Bourdais has forced his way up to 3rd, ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya. Canaan 5th. Biggest mover in the pack, Helio Castro-Neves has made up 10 positions from his starting spot. Here's Pagenaud in for the 2nd stop of the day.
And it's been a struggle today, and that's not the way the weekend started. He felt very good yesterday, but today when it got sunny, the track changed, the car wasn't as good. They're going to make a front wing adjustment this time. Adding front wing, Pagenaud is back out.
Boys.
3, 2, 1, shallow.
Now Helio Castro-Neves will come in for his 2nd stop. He was the first to come in on lap 47 the first time. His car is much better. The problem is because they missed their spot in the line in qualifying. He had to start last, but he's picked up about 10 spots, and he's still got a chance to score some points out of this.
Will Power also hoping to keep making adjustments again. This is a day where you keep chasing the track. We're not used to seeing Will Power trying to come from midfield to try and work his way up, but again, a long race as his teammate Montoya makes his way to pit road.
And Juan Pablo Montoya has been pretty happy with his car this weekend, and he's picked up significantly since the first stint. He was running 8th in the first stint. He's been running top 5 in his 2nd stint. Good stop for Montoya, Jan.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay, you may have heard in our qualifying coverage, he's just had trouble getting a hold of the racetrack, and he did not expect that in the race that he could do a whole lot. Scott Dixon, on the other hand, has been making great progress with making changes to the car. You saw how much he closed that gap to Joseph Newgarden. They're going to continue to try to tune that car. Joseph Newgarden, as you see on track, still says his car's a bit loose. Katie?
Graham Rahal says he thinks he can get at least in the top 5, but he has the car to win. This is the best car he's ever had here, Lee.
Katie, we just heard from race control. Well, Pablo Montoya is getting a penalty for pit lane speed violation. There he is.
And that'll put him well at the back, Paul. That'll be a massive loss on a short oval as we see Marco Andretti.
He will lose a lap on that.
Finish his stop. Now Newgarden's coming to pit lane, your leader.
And this will be an opportunity for him to now get one more front wing adjustment. They can do the tire pressures, but they can also do front wing. We wait to see. They only are going with tire pressures, but it's a slow stop. A little bit longer. Still 8.3, but I think there was a slight delay on the right rear.
It's been a wonderful display so far from Newgarden. Here's Bourdais, who's forced his way up into the top 3. Second stop, Kev.
Sebastian Bourdais started 11th. Last time he pitted from 6th, came out at 4th. Now he's worked his way as high as 3rd. He said his back end is extremely solid and he can run that low line really well and get around cars. In fact, his car was so good yesterday in practice, Jimmy Vasser said, it's unbelievable. Go ahead and park it.
And here comes Newgarden around. That's Bourdais is racing him. Newgarden's got the momentum. Where is Dixon in this? Kanaan is there. This has been a terrific race at the front, but I tell you what, for CFH Racing, they have got to be thrilled after the roller coaster that they have had of having a 1-2 result for the first time ever in the team in Toronto to going to a non-finish for both cars in Auto Club Speedway Fontana to now coming back to this and leading and dominating this race. Look at this. Oh, Hunter-Reay on the inside of Elio.
That's some close racing.
Is wheel to wheel.
Good racing, fair racing between two guys that are both champions.
You heard Jan say that stop may have been a little bit slow for Joseph Newgarden. It's allowed Scott Dixon to get his Ganassi machine, that Chevrolet-powered car, out in front. And he's got nearly 2 seconds on Newgarden.
And guys, with that last round of stops, effectively everybody now is committed to a 4-stop race. So even Graham Rahal did a short stint on that last run, pinning around lap 100.
We understand that Ryan Briscoe had further issues on his second round of stops. Watch this.
A little difficulty for the fueler to get pulled away, but not nearly as bad as the first round. So they're making progress.
Well, he's lost a lap to Dixon now, so he's
fighting hard to get that back.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough road to get by Dixon. His car is very, very strong, so to try to unlap yourself from him as he's trying.
He's going to get it. That's a great run through turns 3 and 4 as Briscoe goes back onto the lead lap if he can stay here.
Trying to get through on his old teammate Scott Dixon and does so successfully.
If they could clean up their pit stops, this could have been the winner of the race, but he's really got himself. We're already almost to half distance already in that one bad stop. I mean, it'd be almost impossible to make up the difference.
Don't think that hasn't escaped his thought.
Dixon and Newgarden. Newgarden's coming back on him. Watch that 67 car. Dixon, who is a winner here, really enjoys this circuit. In fact, I don't think there's a driver that doesn't really enjoy this track, just because of the unique characteristics of the Milwaukee Mile.
And I continue to be amazed by the number of green flag laps that we've had here at Milwaukee, not just this year, but also last year, just one yellow in this green flag pace. It takes a toll on the drivers, Paul. Hot conditions, high G load, and you're working all the time.
Yeah, it's very hot out there today, extremely warm. And of course they've had a long day because they were here practicing early this morning, did a lot of laps in practice, then qualifying, and now the race.
This is your man, the 3-time series champ, new leader, Scott Dixon. Can he go on with it as we fast approach the halfway mark? While running in the top 10, James Jakes in the Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports Honda, his day has come to an end. Pretty rapidly, quite dramatically as well. It's a mechanical. We don't know as for sure, but it let go in pretty spectacular fashion. This is the view from Helio Castro-Neves, who continues to just storm through this field.
Clear behind. Got a smoker in front of you, smoker. Stay low. Yo.
James Jakes, who has been performing very well this weekend at the Milwaukee Mile. Sadly, it is all over. So he will join Pippa Mann, and as far as we know, Jack Hawksworth out of this race.
And we see Ed Carpenter come to pit lane. That's a huge break for Carpenter for the yellow to come out, because that allows him.
Roll it back.
Well, that's not going to help Townsend.
Well, but they're under yellow, so as long as they can get this plugged in, fill them up. No, they're saying they can't reach.
He was out of fuel, so he was totally dry, so they were planning on restarting it.
Now they have to be careful they don't lose a lap, because he would get his lap back, because he had not performed his second stop yet.
Like a comedy of errors going on down there.
It's almost like he just pulled in too far away from the wall.
So they quickly release him so he doesn't go down a lap. He'll have to come back around and take another shot at that. All right, leader is in. There's Scott Dixon, center of your screen.
And Scott Dixon is going to try and get rid of some of his understeer. We watched Joseph Newgarden at the same time to see who gets released first. And it looks like Scott Dixon has a nice start. He's off as well as Joseph Newgarden. Again, the race will be to the line for position. And wow, what a launch by Will Power.
Will Power needed that big time. Castro-Neves is released beside Sage Karam. Out comes one Pablo Montoya. Look at that, Andretti. Marco made up 2 positions. Power, the big winner. And Newgarden, the loser, unfortunately. 4 positions lost.
And Sebastian Bourdais did not pit.
That's an interesting strategy, because we've seen as soon as guys put tires on, you're just so much quicker than a car on used tires. We saw guys come out on fresh tires and just immediately on cold tires go by guys on hot tires. So we watched the race here coming out of the pits. Dixon clear.
Easily out in front, but then watch this group coming. It's going to get busy any second now. You'll see Power as well as others, because there was a big group, there was a big cluster of them all coming out at once. There it is. Andretti beats Power and Kanaan on the outside. Rahal in the MyJack entry.
That was a costly stop for Newgarden.
Very costly.
Check this out. One Pablo Montoya.
Ooh, he don't get any closer than that. You do not cut it any closer than that.
Brave is an understatement. What each and every one of the tire changes and the mechanics go through week in, week out, not only in IndyCar but all motor racing categories. That was pretty spectacular. These folks are enjoying a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Wisconsin. We welcome you back to the Milwaukee Mile. We're under yellow for James Jakes' car coming to rest and had to be rescued, but let's check in with Katie.
Jimmy, Sebastian Bourdais didn't stay out. That means he's on older tires. The guys behind him on newer tires. Why leave him out there?
Oh, well, he did 10 laps on those tires on the green, and you know, I think they split the field a little bit, but I think we're going to run out in clean air. I think we're happy with that.
A little further down pit lane, Giannis with Mike Hull.
And of course, Mike Hull took the alternate strategy. Mike, you won the battle off of pit road, but some people did not stop. Is that a concern?
Well, you know, you make decisions based on what you know, not what you don't know. But we got a great driver in Scott. You know, we're excited about him. 250 IndyCar starts, and he's driving like the very first time he drove a car when he was 19 years old. So that's what's a lot of fun with Scott.
All right, and they've been working hard. He started the race with a lot of push, and they've dialed that out. And I have a feeling, guys, with new tires, he's going to be the front in no time.
Yeah, Scott Dixon looking good. We want to share some radio communication with you for our now leader, Sebastian Bourdais. Let's have a listen.
Just quick question. Do you feel any movement in the car? Yeah, it gets really bad only when I have to lift big time. That's why I'm saying I'm pretty sure it's a ride-eye combination with the slower pace. Copy that.
Olivier Boisson, his race engineer, with the communication. We're getting our way slowly back to green here as we are exactly halfway through the Wisconsin 250. Back in a moment. Ready to go racing. You're watching IndyCar on NBCSN, your home of motorsport. Former F1 driver Sebastian Bourdais ready to lead the field to green in the hydroxy cut entry. Let's go racing in Milwaukee. No, they wave it off. They wave it off. Not this time.
That was interesting. I thought that looked pretty good.
I did.
Well, they have restart cones, which are the requested zone for the driver, the lead driver Bourdais, to get on the throttle. But this is short track racing, boys. They don't like it. No green.
This is where it is in this amongst the DHL signage down turn 4. That's the acceleration zone, and we're hearing from race control. I just thought Seb went a little bit early.
Yeah, but not by much. I mean,
and the next 3 cars are lapped cars. Takuma Sato, Tristan Vautier, and Stefano Coletti. Now it's a lot more uniform. Here we go, back to racing. And you want to keep your eye on the yellow DHL car, because that's Ryan Hunter-Reay. He's second. Pagenaud is pushing through on the inside. These 2 guys have come together this year earlier in New Orleans. And then look at the pack. Here it comes. Briscoe on the right.
Briscoe, Kanaan.
Wilson's in there. On board with Tony Kanaan. Justin Wilson to his right. He's got a run on Pagenaud as well.
Behind you, wrecking behind you.
Tony Kanaan on fresh tires, and that's a big crash. Oh, and Briscoe's out.
Oh. That's a hard hit by Power on the nose. I think he hit head on.
Yeah, I'm okay.
That was Briscoe, I believe, saying, "I'm okay."
Wow, you may have heard the radio. They're wrecking behind you, and this is it.
Yeah, this looks like a very hard hit for Power. It's the nose has gone off the car, so he's gone in nose first, which is worst case scenario.
Safer barrier here at the Milwaukee Mile. The blue fencing that you can see is the softer fencing. That's not solid concrete there.
He's getting out, so that's a good sign.
Well, if he went in nose first, the back of the car is pretty heavily beat up too.
Second time in 2 races these guys have crashed out.
That's the left rear thrown all the way over onto the other side of the car.
That's got a lot of damage to it at both ends, doesn't it? As you say, Briscoe just 2 weeks ago at Fontana did that amazing flying demo.
So hard to pass once you string out here.
Sure.
That when you get condensed up, everybody's on different tire life-ish, tire life periods, and it just becomes a cluster.
Everybody channels their inner Tony Kanaan and wants to make up 5-6 positions as we see the replay.
Briscoe in the gold car, he just loses it.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Power was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Let's have a look at it on board the Arrow Honda for Ryan Briscoe. Listen.
Outside.
Yeah, just got loose. Oops. Came around. Nowhere for Power to go.
I'll show you the view from Marco Andretti's Snapple Honda.
Looking inside. Clear. Looking inside, inside. Good job, good job, good job, good job.
Nice driving by Marco.
Yeah, because they're heading into the sun there, so it's all a bit confusing.
Boy, it was so close to getting by.
Yep.
Just tagged that left rear. And the 2 Australian drivers will go no further in this race. Just taking the onboard ride there with Marco Andretti reminded me of something, as the Schmidt-Peterson guys know that their day's over, because James Jakes, the other team car, it retired with a blown engine. Just thinking about the Andretti family name, that Michael Andretti and Andretti Sports Marketing are promoting this event, and we should give them a pat on the back because the whole venue looks terrific. There's a larger crowd here than I can remember in the past, and just a good atmosphere. So well done to Michael Andretti and Andretti Sports Marketing, really trying to give it a boost here at this famous track. Much loved by everybody.
Well, they've done it for the last 3 years, and they have put a lot of money and a lot of time into this race to try and keep the Milwaukee Mile on the calendar. I just hope they pulled it off this year. The crowd is good, but not great. And obviously, we can't expect Michael Andretti to just keep on losing money.
And guys, this yellow flag really helps 2 people in particular. Ed Carpenter and Carlos Munoz both took fuel right before the restart, and this allows them to stretch their mileage. I think both of them could be able to go on just 1 more stop now.
On lap 135 of 250, and Depends on how lengthy this caution is, but that's benefited those guys enormously. How about Helio Castroneves working his way through the field from starting in 24th? He has worked his way up, Kevin Lee, up to 11th. What's the captain say about this?
Roger Penske calls the race for Helio. I know it's not the place you wanted to start as Juan Pablo Montoya comes in, but Helio's done all he can do today, hasn't he?
Well, I think we've come from 24th to 11th right now. Unfortunately, Juan had that drive-through, but this last accident was, a nuisance here in the beginning of the start of the lap with the green, and we ended up power in the wall. But it's a long way to go here.
Can he make up some more positions? Does Helio still have a chance to get a good result out of what started to be a horrible day?
Oh, absolutely. We didn't get a chance to qualify, and I think that at the end of the day, we just have to stay cool here. And I think that we're going to work our way up, a couple more stops, and we'll see what we can do.
All right, that's Roger Penske. Helio Castroneves up to 11th. Ed Carpenter and Juan Pablo Montoya used this yellow to come in just a moment ago.
Roger Penske's team, extended team, had a pretty decent weekend at Kentucky Speedway as well, with Brad Keselowski winning the Xfinity Series race, and then both Brad and Joey Logano finishing in the top half dozen or so last night as well in the Quaker State 400. So the captain always busy, and add to that his V8 supercar activities down under as well. So under yellow for the second time here at the Milwaukee Mile, but it's being cleaned up. We'll go racing when we come back. We know that many of you really enjoy watching the Mecum auctions here on NBCSN. Well, that's the man. That's the CEO of the company, Dana Mecum, who is incredibly busy. He also doubles as president of Millers at Milwaukee. These beautiful old cars. You may remember a couple of years ago, Townsend and David Hobbs got to drive one of those classic Millers worth several $1 million. You did a good job, T-Bell, by the way. You returned it safely. But this you will get to see go under the hammer. This is the legendary actor Steve McQueen's car. The 1976 Porsche will go under the hammer at the Mecum Monterey auction August 15. The next one coming up, though, here on NBCSN is Harrisburg, and that is at the end of the month. Kev?
Michael Andretti calling.
Ryan Briscoe has been released from the hospital. Good news is you're okay. Looks like it got away from you down low.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a pretty crazy restart, with a few of us up there on really old tires, not really old, but used tires with some pickup on them. And then, the guys behind us all on stickers, they had tons of grip, and we all sort of ran down into turn 3, and Canard threw it down the inside at the very last second and just took all my air away, and next thing it just felt like I was in an aeroplane, and the car just wouldn't follow the road, and it just came around on me. So really caught me by surprise, but it's a shame we're out of it. Had a really good car today. We had a couple of mistakes or problems in the pit stops, but we were fighting back hard.
All right, they're fighting hard at the front right now. Thankfully, Ryan Briscoe is okay.
He is okay. Now watch this. This is where the crash occurred on the last restart. Down here into 3 as they're all scrambling for positions. Ray Hall goes through on the inside. They're 3 wide into turn 3. Justin Wilson's in the middle of the pack, getting loose and getting unstable. On board with Andretti.
They say yellow breeds yellows, and they're certainly trying hard to prove that theory right here as Marco is charging hard up on the outside. He wants clean air. He's going higher.
He goes around Justin Wilson, returning to the Andretti team. Here's Newgarden on Canaan on the inside in the black and blue car. Back on board with TK. Canaan, the 2-time winner here at Milwaukee, does the chasing now. But that was good, quick progress from Joseph Newgarden.
Well, he went right around the outside of about 3 people on turns 1 and 2, went very wide and pulled it off.
He's got the bit between his teeth after losing all those positions on the pit stop. Now he's back up to second. He's got a couple lapped cars in between him and Bourdais that he's got to clear, but it looks, Townsend, like the fresh tires are key. Oh, as we see Sage get loose coming off turn 4.
We're going to go on board here with Graham Rahal. Watch this. Dixon in front. He dives down low. Now he's working on Marco. And watch these guys in front. They are all over the place trying to hang on.
But up ahead, you may have seen Newgarden weave through, get by Dixon, get by Hunter-Reay, and just take off.
Paul, Graham Rahal continues to demonstrate just racecraft of almost freakish ability to know where the cars are around him.
I don't know if that's racecraft or he just does not care and I'm going through no matter what.
He does the Paul Tracy approach.
Yeah, but he doesn't hit anybody. You just never see contact.
So Bourdais, who's kind of out on his own, he's on a strategy of his own. Last pitting on lap 102, we're racing lap 147. Newgarden of the majority that pitted on lap 117 is that leader of that group in second in this race. We ride with Rahal. Let's listen and enjoy this for a moment.
And that's where Graham has to be careful. Sorry, Lee, I know you want to hear the audio, is when you go low and when Sage Karam crosses down low and takes the air from you, you can shoot up the track. Now he's got it gathered back up. We can listen.
I'll tell you one thing, Sage has been driving a very good race. He's very quick. He's up here running with a lot of experienced guys, as we see Tony Kanaan with his teammate right behind him. But Sage has done a very good job today. And Graham is all over the back of him.
He's done an outstanding job. Got off a bit of a slow start yesterday afternoon. Of course, he's a winner here in Indy Lights, but nevertheless, it's a very different thing.
A little bit of politicking there. Rahal saying the Chevy's so fast on the straightaway, but you know, he's all over him in the corners, so.
Well, you don't know what downforce Sage has chosen for this race, if he's a little trimmed out or if he's higher downforce. So
I can answer that question for you. In practice today, Sage Karam had a little less downforce than his teammates, and he had the exact same scenario where Graham Rahal was chasing him, could not pass him on the straightaway. So Sage Karam decided, I want to carry a little extra downforce later on in the race because I have found that I couldn't pass people on lower downforce. I needed to stay low in the corners and maintain position.
Well, as big as a hole as these cars punch in the air, you really do get a toe, even on a short oval like Milwaukee.
And I'll tell you one thing, as we see these guys all right here on fresh tires, Bourdais has a 10-second lead now on used tires.
And Hydroxy Cup machine's working beautifully. Here it is. The veteran Frenchman, the 4-time IndyCar Series champion.
He is long gone.
He's not only in a strategy of his own, he's in a class of his own.
That just goes to show what clean air is worth versus fresh rubber.
Look at the gap to second place.
11 seconds now. Newgarden over Kanaan in third, Dixon fourth, Pagenaud back there in the yellow and white Team Penske entry. Then Ryan Hunter-Reay, Sage Karam has dropped, and then Rahal in eighth, Andretti and Wilson in the top 10.
Paul, you're right. Bourdais last time 160 miles an hour. Newgarden in clean air was down at 154.
Maybe Jimmy knows something we don't know, and everybody else. But this guy is hooked up.
You're 12 seconds ahead of him in second place.
Right now, like Jimmy's saying, you're 12 seconds. Okay, now pace yourself. You got a half a track lead now in the span of 5 laps. Just, he doesn't need to do anything but sit here and conserve his tires.
Well, if he can build a big enough gap, then that pit stop's not going to be as painful under green flag conditions. Further back, Montoya and Carpenter both pitted at the tail end of that last yellow, so Montoya and Carpenter certainly one stop to make it to the end, and that could factor heavily depending on how we play with yellows.
Well, Pablo Montoya actually just returned from Mexico, where he was part of a panel, an expert panel at the FIA World Motorsport Council meeting. It was the first time that kind of a meeting has ever been held outside of Europe, and JPM was there, recognized by the FIA for his talent, his success, and just the diverse range of cars that he has raced on a global scale. So good for him.
How many super license points did he earn for that?
I was just going to say, could he get a super license?
I'll tell you what, talking about super drive, now it's 15 seconds, 16 seconds. If these guys aren't careful, Bourdais could come around and lap them all.
Sage Karam and Ryan Hunter-Reay side by side, and this looks to be either somebody that's had in the fence or
Coletti.
Maybe it's motor. That's a Chevy.
This is race leader's teammate. This is Sebastian Bourdais' teammate.
Lane, guys.
It's day over for Stefano Coletti, the man from Monaco. Whoa! Rahal and Sage Karam almost come together.
Sheepers.
You won't find two younger guys that have more bravery than those two guys and almost matching red cars.
Well, there's one other, and he's right in front of Graham Rahal. That's Marco Andretti.
Watch this. Watch Sage Karam.
He got in the gray, got loose, hanging on, and then Graham Rahal was there to pounce, almost bounced the wheel off of him. As we watch the replay, Sage is out in the gray. Graham says, I'm coming. Ooh. And you don't get any closer than that.
Was close. Well, that was a little Fontana-esque.
And already Sebastian Bourdais has made his way by Justin Wilson. Has lapped the Andretti driver as he just pitted. This man here, though, a 33-time IndyCar race winner. Can he make it 34 today? For those of you just joining us, you're looking at that green and black hydroxy cut car. Sebastian Bourdais is about to put a lap on one Pablo Montoya. And Bourdais, the veteran Frenchman, won here at the Milwaukee Mile back in 2006. And in that year, one of his 4 championship victories, led the points from start to finish for the entire season. And the man that he's about to try and put a lap down on Pablo Montoya is doing that this year. In 2015, Montoya has led every round of the championship. We need to update you, though, as to the status of Will Power involved in that accident with Ryan Briscoe. How is he?
Well, the good news is that Will Power is okay. He says no ill effects from the crash. Will, it looked like you almost got around on the outside.
Yeah, I saw it start to spin, and I thought I kind of gassed it a bit. I thought I was going to get by him, but unfortunately I didn't. He clipped me, and ended our day.
What's the mindset knowing that this has been a year where these kind of things have been happening? How do you bounce back from that?
Yeah, I guess you can't get frustrated. You just got to keep moving on, and and eventually it'll change. Have one go for it. So just got to keep focused and move on to the next one.
You were very vocal about the racing style in Fontana. What do you think about the racing style here?
Yeah, it was actually pretty hard to pass here. Oh, there's the accident. Okay. I did go in first ahead. I thought I went in backwards, but yeah, it's quite difficult to pass. Obviously, there's a lot more downforce this year, so when you get close, you lose a lot. But we were kind of in the thick of it.
All right, Bourdais in for his stop, Katie.
Yeah, and before this race, Sebastian Bourdais had only led 21 laps in 2015. Now he comes in for a stop from the lead. They said no adjustments on this time. They know they got to get back out as soon as possible.
Everything was orderly there for Bourdais and the KVSH team. So we'll see how it shakes out. And Helio Castroneves continues his run and his chase to try and get as high as he can from starting last, Kev.
But his forward momentum is halted at the 11th position. That's where he was before he came in, and he's still going to have to do one more stop unless there is a lot of yellow. Castroneves is back out.
If you weren't with us in the qualifying show, the Team Penske guys, for whatever reason, did not get this car to the tech inspection in the allotted time. And Helio Castroneves was unable, as per the rules, to take part in qualifying, hence starting 24th and last. Tony Kanaan has had a great race today. The veteran is second and pressing on.
On board here with Kanaan as you see Hunter-Reay battling up the track. That's Newgarden. Here's a pass.
That just goes to show you, Townsend, how strong new tires are.
Yeah.
These guys have been running hard. They don't have a lot of laps on the tires, but as soon as a guy comes out with fresh tires, he just blows by.
Well, and Hunter-Reay in a big hurry to get his lap back, and that should do it. So that puts Hunter-Reay at the tail end of the lead lap as Newgarden continues to lead from Kanaan from Dixon.
And where is the tail end of that lead lap? Well, it's with Ryan Hunter-Reay, as Townsend just said, in 14th. So everybody behind is a lap down. We've had retirements with Pippa Mann, James Jakes, Ryan Briscoe, Will Power, Jack Hawksworth was in very, very early. Stefano Coletti is out as well, as we know. We just saw that. So the attrition rate has been rather high here at the Milwaukee Mile.
So as we see this race play out, if we get a late race caution inside the last 10 laps, Townsend, do you take tires? Because I'm coming in to get tires.
I think if you're not in the lead, as Bourdais just proved with clean air, I think you think long and hard about clean rubber, new rubber, and especially figuring out how many cars are on the lead lap. Right now there's 13 cars on the lead lap. If it's something like that at the end, I think you take a chance.
Here we go, Bourdais on one Pablo Montoya. This is for 10th. So he checks another one off his list. Charlie Kimball in the Novolog Ganassi car. The Chevrolet immediately ahead. ready to check another one off his
Look
list.
at the mid-quarter speed on fresh tires. Look at the speed difference on fresh tires versus used.
Well, he was so fast on old tires. You put new rubber on top of that, and he's a rocket ship. He's in a class of his own right now.
Gabby Chavez, the next one on the list, the 98 car for Brian Herter Autosport. Watch this green machine.
And if you're Sebastian Bourdais, this is the best time in racing. You're so much faster than the field. You're having a blast, and it's so easy to work your way through.
You told me it was going to be hard to pass pre-race. You said, there's going to be no passing.
Well, ask Sage Karam how hard it is to pass.
As he gets past.
It's good stuff.
Bourdais now is up.
Keep digging, +5.
Bourdais now up to 7. Chasing Carlos Munoz. How far can he go on this run?
He's right there, like the leader's just in front of him, half a straightaway.
What a display this has been.
That's for 6th.
On board with Castro Neves. Elio's back in 16th after that last stop. So up front, race leader, Joseph Newgarden. Tony Kanaan doing the chasing. Marco Andretti's in good shape in 3rd at the moment. All of those drivers on the same strategy call, all last pitting on lap 117. Likewise for Dixon. Bourdais the odd man out, and we're about to see Bourdais arrive on the scene pretty rapidly here.
Well, he doesn't need to push too hard because a lot of these guys are all going to pit in the next 5 laps, I'd guess. So he's got a fast car, but it's going to open up in front of him.
Championship is mixing up nicely as far as points, willpower. This was a day he did not need with that non-finish. He will lose his 2nd place in the championship as we watch Bourdais go alongside Scott Dixon. And just like that, he blows by a 3-time champion.
Oh, the guy's on fire, man. I'll tell you what, if he catches the leaders here before they pit, he could put everybody a lap down.
What a display. Katie asked Jimmy Vasser a little earlier, why did you bring him in? Oh, sorry, why didn't you bring him in? Why did you leave him out on that particular caution? And he said, well, we think we're doing the right thing. We'll see. What do you think, Jan?
Well, the interesting thing about Sebastian Bourdais, because of this different strategy, he does not have to save any fuel whatsoever, but the cars all around him are trying to save some fuel to get within a window to make that one more stop. So not only does he have a great handling car, he also doesn't have to worry at all about fuel, and other people around him definitely do.
I tell you what, I like to drive in that style. Just hammer down, go as fast as you can go. You know, this fuel-saving stuff was never really my thing. So I like what Bourdais, his game plan here, the strategy they set up.
Sage Karam on the left-hand side. His guys are working awfully slow there. We think he might have gotten into the wall with the right rear as the toe link looks to be, well, they had the tire loose, so it was pivoting around.
He came in very slowly too, Townsend. Very slow. There was no sense of urgency there at all. What a shame for the young man, because he had another good run coming off a 5th. Look at the green machine. Here we go. Newgarden, rather I should say Bourdais goes through. This is Newgarden coming into the pits. So Bourdais clears Marco Andretti. Here's Joseph.
And Joseph has been happy with the car. They're not looking to make any changes. They're hoping that they have a nice clean pit stop. They've had some that haven't been quite as quick. And 8.9, again, you would think maybe a little bit faster, but towards the end of the race, the fuel does not flow quite as quickly.
Bourdais is going to have a lap lead now on Newgarden as he gets by.
And to Jan's point earlier, they're going to have to.
Newer tires than you are.
They're going to have to run lean to make it to the end. It's 65 laps to the end of the race, and that's a long ways to go on one set of tires and one tank of fuel, David.
Absolutely. He's going for the lead now. He's going for the lead on Tony Kanaan, and he still has to pit. Maybe pulls off this lap or the next, but he will definitely be a lap down as he goes for the lead. Straight by.
How about that, Hobbo?
Clear.
It's absolutely been extraordinary. His performance on the last set of tyres after that caution, only pulled out a 17-second lead. Then he comes in and puts the new tyres on, and it, as Townsend said, the car's a rocket ship.
Yeah, but now we've got 16 laps on these tires, and his car just works so well down low. He seems to find grip where nobody else can.
That is very, very impressive. To come out of the pits in like 10th or 12th and pass every single car legitimately. Now he's got a 2 or 3 second lead, and everybody else is going to pit. Incredible.
Newgarden making his way back, trying to make an impression here on Marco Andretti, and does so. Scott Dixon in.
And remember, for Scott Dixon, we asked that question about what about the strategy when he pitted and Sebastian Bourdais did not. Now we're seeing how that played out. Graham Rahal making his stop as well. It's a case where Scott Dixon will now be another driver that's going to have to save fuel to the end, and Bourdais does not.
Very tight pit exit here. Winding around the inside there. Tony Kanaan is in.
Kanaan's had a good run today. He's had a good car throughout most of the weekend. He was confident coming in. Sunoco fuel, and this should be the last stop for Kanaan. He'll have to save a little bit. Marco Andretti now. We see the Snapple car hit the pit lane. It's been a strong second half of this race for Marco Andretti. He was running third before this sequence of pit stops began. 50 miles an hour. He's got a clean in. He's going to have a clean out. Marco trying to get that first win since Iowa back 4 years ago. And any issues on this stop? So far, so good. No changes. Andretti back out.
A little shake of the head there from Marco Andretti, though, as he exits. Meanwhile, Sebastian Bourdais on the right-hand side of your screen as Carlos Munoz for Andretti Autosport pits. Bourdais now boasts, just like that, a 12.5-second lead over Charlie Kimball. This has been a day, quite the day, for KVSH Racing. Getting very close to the 200-lap mark. This race has flown by with just 2 cautions for 26 laps. And it has been dominated by 2 drivers, Joseph Newgarden and Sebastian Bourdais. Between them, they've led more than 170 laps.
Tell you what, there's nobody that has a better car on track right now than Bourdais. We talked about the clean air. He had clean air, pulled out a 17-second lead, pitted, came out in dirty air in a mob of traffic, drove by everybody, and now has a 15-second lead again.
Well, and it is put up to 7th place, a lap down. Now, Bourdais will have to make one more stop, we think, as Charlie Kimball hits pit lane.
Now this timing is a bit better for Charlie Kimball. He won't have to wait necessarily quite as long for the fuel. We're watching at the front. They want a little bit more front wing, and yes, they give him quite a bit more front wing. Give him the balance he wants and some Sunoco fuel. He should be good to the end.
So I think the question here, Paul, is can Joseph Newgarden go 65 laps at Milwaukee on a tank of fuel?
Well, the question really is these guys that are now a lap down, Kanaan, Dixon, Rahal, Andretti, that were all front runners, they're a lap down to Bourdais. If it goes yellow, they might continue to stay a lap down.
Yeah.
Been a terrific day for Joseph Newgarden. Career pole position #1, has led the most laps to this point. But can he construct a result, a good result? He too, his car's been working beautifully. On one of those restarts, he went past about 3 or 4 cars in the first 2 turns on the stretch heading down to turn 3. Montoya is in for his final stop of the day.
And he's had to change the strategy because of the pit speed penalty earlier, but he's still got a chance, even though he's been running 14th, 15th in that range, as we see Ed Carpenter, who's on a similar strategy, was up to 3rd right before him. The others that just pitted are going to have to save. Marco Andretti was told the number, and he sounded like, whoa, that's going to be very difficult to make. Montoya is going to be able to run hard the rest of the way.
I would much rather run wide open and just go as fast as I can than try to make a number on an oval and be coasting.
So we've got 2 guys on the same stretch of the track. Sebastian Bourdais is fast approaching Ryan Hunter-Reay and is about to have a lap on the entire field. Something you did in Indy Lights, didn't you, mate?
We did, but this is different. This is IndyCar. These are the big boys. But I'll tell you, it's a special feeling. That Indy Lights race went green the entire time.
Out behind you with fresh tires.
But to your point, Paul, if he does get to Hunter-Reay and a yellow comes out, then he'll have a lap on the field.
One thing we
even when he stops
would like to say, folks, is that we understand, we know that there are some audio issues that you're experiencing at your end. We are doing everything to rectify and resolve that situation here from Milwaukee as soon as we can. Thanks for your understanding. We used to watch this man here, Sebastian Bourdais, for Scuderia Toro Rosso when he was the 4-time world champion. Well, not at that stage, but he was on his way to becoming a 4-time world champ, Sebastian Vettel. We are hearing reports that Newgarden may have brushed the wall. Is it a brush or is it a hit?
He got out of the groove there, and if he didn't hit the wall, he got very close to it. That's just got out of the groove, and as soon as you're in the gray, Townsend, you're going for the wall, and you're very lucky if you get away with not hitting it.
And here's another car with an issue. Justin Wilson on pit lane. We're not sure what the problem is. Looks like an air gun issue on the right front. Katie? And there's Jimmy Vasser.
Katie's there.
And earlier we heard Vasser on the radio with Bourdais while we were at break, telling him you've got a lap up on the field, and even when they do have to pit.
Bourdais has lapped up to second. Jimmy having a little bit of communication with Sebastian over the radio. Jimmy, Sebastian is lapped up to second. Can you make it on one more stop?
Yeah, sure. We're well within the window. We're just getting ready to think about it right now.
All right, they're getting ready to figure out when he can pit next, Lee.
1998 winner of the Milwaukee Mile event,
well,
Jimmy
bring
Vasser.
it in here. Bring it in.
There he goes. That's why he's frantic, because he's saying, righto, let's do it now, where we've got just over
+5 to the 20.
35 laps to run. Remember, this man has a lap on the field.
And he's going to be able to short fill and go to fresh tires, Paul. He'll be as fast as we've seen him after he comes out of this pit stop.
Don't speed in the pits. We need the guys, just take it easy, get all the fuel, and let's get a nice stop here, and we can win this race.
David Hobbs, you ever pit for the last time in a race with a lap on the field?
I wish I had. I regret not.
They're all saving fuel, and you got tires. Let's go. Hey, Elio's in the middle of 3 and 4. He's P2.
He's going to beat him out. No problem. Back in the lead. No problem.
Takes care of the pit delta and sets sail without losing the lead.
Clear up +8.
This has been a remarkable day for KVSH Racing and Sebastian Bourdais.
Fresh tires, light fuel, back in the lead. Game, set, match, unless he makes a mistake.
But how about Castro Neves to be on the lead lap, only 1.5 seconds back after starting in last place?
Elio last pitted on lap 171. So the 3 we will see return to pit lane unless there's substantial yellow.
Unless there's a yellow, but that puts Tony Kanaan in that position, like Vasser mentioned, of trying to hang on, save fuel, and make it to the end.
I'll tell you one thing, as much as it pains me to say this, that was some of the most impressive driving I have ever seen Bourdais do on an oval.
Hang on, let's get you on the record here, Paul Tracy. You're speaking positively about your old sparring partner.
We talked a couple weeks ago and had a chat on the phone, and I told him he's been doing a great job this year. But what we just saw over the last 50 laps, that is impressive.
All right, 34 laps to go, bud. 34 to go.
Enjoy the drive,
says the man that used to go at him in a blue wrestling mask.
I tell you what, I mean, we used to go at it so hard and heavy, and I think, it was more on me, an insecurity of me just knowing, how am I going to beat this guy? I got to get in his head. I got to rattle him. I got to upset him. That was my game plan.
Here's our Chevy driver update and gives us a look at who's doing what. And at the moment, it's pretty good. Top 4, all Chevrolet-powered cars. Most importantly, the leader, Sebastian Bourdais.
And so what does that translate in terms of speed? Bourdais goes out of the pits, first time lap, 160 miles an hour. Everybody else is in the low 150s.
Yeah, he's back up to a 5-second lead now.
So the one who's going to drop out of the mix here is the second place Elio Castro Neves for Team Penske, because he pitted just too long ago. That'll elevate his good friend, longtime friend, Tony Kanaan to second place. Joseph Newgarden has an eye on a podium. But Newgarden too has to look after his fuel because he pitted on lap 185. That's a 65 lap stint. So we'll see what Joseph Newgarden, the pole sitter today, can do. Ray Hall's looking good for a top 5. Dixon, so too is the case. And Marco Andretti's not out of the mix yet either. Englishman Justin Wilson returning to Andretti Autosport and will race these final 5 events of the season, but he's racing no more here today. What looked to be a blown motor on his Andretti Autosport Honda puts the big man out and on the sidelines, joining what is a growing list. As we welcome you back to the Milwaukee Mile, David Hobbs is here as our special analyst, Lee Diffie, along with Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, Katie Hargett working pit road, along with Jan Beekes, Kevin Lee and Robin Miller. It's been a great day here in Milwaukee. Sunday afternoon, early evening race, and we've been treated to a classic display by that guy right there. Sebastian Bourdais has put on a clinic. However, with this late race caution, things are going to get interesting.
This is going to be a restart to watch, folks. If you had to get up, take a break, you're going to want to watch here because everybody's going to come in for fresh tires at the back of the lead lap.
Montoya has now positioned himself back to second place for the championship, which is critical.
Huge. I think all these guys figure if I'm going to beat Bourdais, I'm going to need fresh rubber to have a chance.
Well, they couldn't beat him last time. He rocketed away to a 17-second lead on used tires.
Whoa, that was close. Dixon chopped across in front of his teammate Tony Kanaan there. Newgarden was in the mix. It's a scramble off. Who did best?
Look at Graham.
Rahal gets 2, Dixon gets 2.
Newgarden again lost. He lost 4 on the last stop, 2 on this stop.
Here's the issue with the guys with fresh tires. They got to get by Montoya before you can get to Bourdais, right? And he's tough. He's not going to give up easy.
Well, but Montoya's got 30 laps, maybe 25 some odd laps on those tires. He hasn't been nearly as strong as Bourdais. I'm liking Graham Rahal on this restart. Look at him back there in 6th position, along with Castroneves. What a stop.
We've got a 25-lap shootout here. We know the restart's going to be crazy, hairy. You know, yellows breed yellows, as we saw earlier in the race. So, you know, this could play out, but it's going to be exciting.
You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Steak and Shake, home of the original steak burger and proud sponsor of number 15, Graham Rahal. Back in a moment for the restart. As the shadows take effect here at the famed Milwaukee Mile, we welcome you back to our coverage of the Wisconsin 250. And we're all kind of sitting on the edge of our seats, rubbing our hands together, getting ready for this one to restart and what will unfold. 2 weeks ago at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, we had one of the most spectacular IndyCar races you've ever seen, and then quite the dramatic finish. What are we going to get today here in Wisconsin?
Well, we've had 2 absolutely amazing heads-up drives. First from Newgarden, who looked like he was set for a win from his first pole. And then Bourdais has just given everybody a driving lesson.
And when you've got to make decisions, it's tense times. There's a lot on the line. Let's take you inside the world of Marco and father Michael Andretti.
You got to come in, right? Stay out. Stay out. I don't mean right now, Dad. I'm saying for tires. 30 laps is a long time.
Sounds like a conversation with my son.
Yeah, I don't know what the thinking is there if he's saying he needs tires and they wanted him to stay out. But, I mean, this is going to be an interesting deal. You know, because if we look at the last restart, Bourdais was able to rocket away with some lapped cars in front. And now it's the end of the race. These guys are going to be charging harder.
And they've got new tires, and they've got obviously about the same fuel as he's got.
It's in pit road. We start with Katie Hargett. Katie?
Sebastian Bourdais decided to stay out there because they said clean air is more important than tire pressure. He's battling a little bit of a loose car and wants those tire pressures adjusted. He started 11th, restarted 16th, and it took just 16 laps for him to get the lead after that yellow. Kevin?
The group right behind Bourdais is all making something out of nothing. Montoya had a pit speed penalty earlier. Strategy got him back. Ed Carpenter was lapped early in the race by his teammate Joseph Newgarden, but he's gone off strategy. He didn't come in that time, so he's going to be on older tires, going to be a challenge. But then right behind them, Helio Castroneves is on the same strategy as the other leaders. He came in, he took tires, was the first out, so Castroneves has at least got a chance to score points and maybe more, Jan.
Yes, and Kevin, you talk about that group who came in and took tires, which will make them more racy. Now, Joseph Newgarden did come on pit road, and I believe he's the biggest benefactor of this caution. I do not believe, just like Townsend and Paul, we're talking about, I don't think he could have gone 65 laps. He needed a caution. So yes, he lost 2 on pit road for track position, but now he has enough fuel to finally go for it.
And keep in mind, guys, the restart that this young man made last time round. He went by Scott Dixon and others very abruptly on that opening lap of the restart.
I'll tell you what, though, Castroneves, Carpenter, Montoya, you will not find 3 guys that are harder to pass than those guys.
What about Ed Carpenter's day? Yes, he's on a different lap count strategy, but he started 3rd from last. And here he is inside the last 20 laps with perhaps a shot. It'll be tough, but perhaps a shot. We'll see. This restart is critical.
Oh, so many of these guys are going to be
Rahal,
up in their seat, feeling like $1 million with fresh tires.
Is on a massive high from last week. He's the first guy on fresh tires, so a great opportunity for him to go 2 in a row here, and this is going to be crazy, Townsend.
This is ready, set, go. Get ready. Final 19 laps. We saw what happened 2 weeks ago. It was a thriller in Fontana. This is the Milwaukee Mile.
Green, green, green.
Good restart by Graham.
The oldest active track in the world is turning it on for us. Rahal goes through on the inside. Bourdais. Then it's Juan Pablo Montoya, his teammate, Helio Castroneves. Here comes Dixon up the inside. Carpenter thinks about a return move on Rahal. Couldn't do it, and around the outside goes Joseph Newgarden. What a move!
And there's your answer on tires. Ed Carpenter dropping like a lead sinker as Castroneves looks to the inside of Montoya.
Play it smart, Juan. This is not the guy you're battling in the championship. The guy you're battling is behind you. Power's out. Bring home the points.
Castroneves clears his teammate easily.
Good job.
Here comes Rahal and Newgarden, though. Keep your eyes on those next two.
Go get him, man. Go get him.
Newgarden went wide there.
On board with Rahal. 16 to go.
And he'll get him here. Look at him dig through the middle of the corner.
Strong.
Outside. Outside.
Montoya battle back. Can't hold it.
Hold there. Clear.
It took Graham Rahal 125 races to get his 2nd victory. Could he possibly get back-to-back wins in just 2 weeks?
There's been nobody this season that comes on stronger at the end of a race than Graham Rahal. Road courses, street courses, Fontana now this week, and he's got it the bit between his teeth. And there's another win on the table.
14 laps to go. Dixon on Newgarden now. Great move.
Wow, it looks like Newgarden's car is definitely suffering something, isn't it?
And guys, Castroneves is catching Bourdais. He's knocking off about 2/10 a lap. He's on the fresher tires, and he's coming.
Remember, Helio Castroneves did not qualify and started last. The dancing man is doing some very fancy work here, and Bourdais in trouble.
Bourdais loose.
Little loose, center off. Back on power. He's just got to keep the tires under him.
Wow.
Build the
Whoa!
You want to talk about loose? How about that?
That's one way to keep a guy behind you, is take the air off the front of his car.
Every lap that Helio Castroneves turns, he's setting a new fastest lap of the race.
Now he's got to, Bourdais got to rely on Jimmy's experience, his spotter's experience, as Graham Rahal is now coming.
Boy, he is coming.
Checking the throttle in the middle of the corner. He wasn't able to hold it wide open, but he's down on that slipperier more part of the track, but it is cooled off. The sun has gone down.
Oh, here he comes.
Woo!
Runs a little high.
Chases the thing up to the wall.
This is good news for Bourdais. The harder these guys push, the more they're wearing their tires, and they've gapped the rest of the field.
10 laps to go. Can Sebastian Bourdais hang on? Can Helio Castroneves do anything, or the Fontana winner, Graham Rahal?
Bourdais got to run the 10 best laps of his life here.
All clear behind.
Yeah, there's no pressure from behind whatsoever. That's a 5-second gap back there. These 3 are on their own.
I did go mix 2, then trim 3.
Said to Graham Rahal earlier this weekend,
Now we need trim 3, please.
you're 4th in points. Have you ever been 4th in IndyCar? I don't think you have. And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, you were 5th back in the Newman-Haas days. And he said, I guess it is the first time. This would move him to 3rd if he stays where he is right now.
There'll be 8 laps to go.
He's trying his heart out, but those fresh tires, Bourdais' car has been so strong today. He's been able to just stabilize now. He's got a nice little gap to Castro Neves, and I think, you know, his car has been phenomenal today.
1.4 seconds the gap now. Bourdais to Castro Neves.
And right here, Graham's digging so hard in the middle of the corner, and Castro Neves went a little bit lower than the previous lap, and that forced Graham to lift just a bit in the turbulence.
Nice line by Bourdais. He's using every bit of the track. He's up high on the entry. He's the closer to the wall on entry than anybody. Just floats it into the corner really nice, like a road course. Just barely touches that black part and just out to the wall here. Perfect line.
He handled the pressure from Helio Castro Neves, and now with each lap as Castro Neves is consumed with the Rahal challenge, the gap increases, now out to 1.6 seconds. Newgarden returning the favor on Dixon. Whoa. And through comes Kanaan as well. The Ganassi boys dueling it out. This is a fight for a top 5. And Newgarden got it. Now here comes Marco Andretti. So after putting on a surge, Dixon's now lost 3 positions in 1 lap.
Loose on entry. See that, Townsend? The thing snapped out on entry on him.
Boy, it sure did.
5 laps to go here at the Milwaukee Mile. Make that 4. And Sebastian Bourdais now has a 1.7 second lead. It's looking more and more in favor of the Frenchman, who has led 114 laps today.
And now Castro Neves, of course, has gone from charging Bourdais to now defending Rahal, and that allows Bourdais to just inch out even further.
He's come from last on the grid.
What a day for Castro Neves. I would never have given him a chance of doing as well as that. That's extraordinary.
Montoya still hanging on to 4th, a great points day. If he can continue to hold off Newgarden, who's on the charge, this would be a great race for Montoya points-wise.
KVSH, Team Penske, and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. For Kevin Kalkoven, James Sully Sullivan, and Jimmy Vasser, the men behind this team here, have already seen victory lane and the top of the podium once this year at Detroit. The double-header, Sebastian Bourdais won 1 of those, and he is getting so close to his second of the season. One more lap, 1 more mile, and Bourdais will have it.
If he can hang on here, this will just be an outright driving lesson for the rest of the field.
He could coast from here. This has been nothing short of impressive.
We said at the beginning of the day, he has 33 career wins in IndyCar. Can he make it 34? The answer is yes. Sebastian Bourdais wins at the Milwaukee Mile. How about that? Dominating performance, 118 laps led.
Great strategy by Jimmy Vasser and the team.
Dixon and Marco Andretti fighting over that position, and Dixon wins out that 7th place. What a day.
Drive.
Katie's there in amongst the celebrations.
Jimmy, your driver, Sebastian Bourdais, brought the green machine home for the 2nd one of the season. How good does it feel?
Oh, this is awesome, especially to win here at Milwaukee. It's such a historic place. It was one of my favorite tracks when racing here, and the fashion he did it, you know, we put ourselves on a different strategy that let him go, and everybody else was in the box saving fuel, and he lapped the field. That was awesome.
Kevin, as you watch Sebastian Bourdais lap the entire field here.
I was just amazed at how he drove through it. I mean, when he came out with his new tires, I mean, he came out, I think, in 8th place, and he was in 1st place in about 8 laps. It's just an amazing piece of driving.
A 2nd win for Sebastian Bourdais this season, Lee.
Oh, fantastic performance. Won back in 2006 here at the Milwaukee Mile.
Well, I told you in practice when I saw him going around, I said, he looks good this weekend.
Yeah. And pretty cool, you know, in the modern era, it's only been Ganassi and Penske and Andretti to win here. And for a team like KVSH to show what they're capable of, just an incredible performance.
Now be careful with that motor. You got to use that for a little while.
Yeah.
So,
how about the back end of the car?
Yeah.
And at the age of 36, It's a very youthful celebration. It'll be great to hear from Sebastian Bourdais. We'll do that when we come back. When you were born in Le Mans, France, it's pretty hard not to have a career in motorsport, and a successful one like Sebastian Bourdais with his kids, Emma and Alex. What a special family moment. And wife Claire is right there as well. That is terrific. And that was some victory from Sebastian Bourdais, and some victory that these fans were treated to. They're all down there. We heard from Kevin Kalkoven and Jimmy Vasser. James Sully Sullivan is right there as well. Time to hear from our winner.
Lee, it's an absolute mob scene down here celebrating Sebastian Bourdais' 34th win. And with this win here at the Milwaukee Mile, he ties Al Unser for 7th in all-time wins in the Verizon IndyCar Series. Sebastian, have you ever had such a dominating win?
Yeah, here. 9 years ago. It's 9 years ago in that McDonald's car. You know, it was just like that today. Just unbelievable. It's what I was, we were talking about it yesterday, and it's these places, you know. Sometimes you got it, and when it's right, boy, it's really, really, really good.
You told me when you came back to the IndyCar Series that you were overcompensating for your driving and you were trying to do better than the car is. Did you have a first place car today?
I think that's pretty clear. That's pretty damn clear.
You also said you like being the underdog and taking it to the bigger teams. How good does it feel to get a win over the likes of Penske and Ganassi?
Pretty sweet. You know, like we say all the time, when we get the job done and beat all these guys with what we got, a great group of guys and limited resources and great sponsors, you got to feel really good about it. And today we just executed and overcame what looked like a messed up, you know, break for us, and we just made it work on the track.
And Lee, it took just 16 laps for Sebastian to get the lead after that yellow.
Terrific moment to have his family there. Look at Jimmy Vasser. He's enjoying it like it was one of his victories in the driving days. But as an owner, it's doubly as good. So terrific. Just terrific. It's a great group of guys that work so hard. And it's their turn to celebrate. But tell you what, it was a pretty impressive performance by Elio Castro Neves in second as well. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, Team Penske is pretty happy. Elio is here second. We'll talk to Juan Pablo Montoya, who finished fourth in just a moment. I know, Elio, you came into this weekend desperately wanting and needing a win, but all things considered, how happy are you with second place as we watch you move up through the field?
Yeah, no, certainly it was a tough one. You can see it was very difficult to pass. I was trying, I was forcing, I was pushing, I was trying everything. My teammates actually, I mean, when you run a guy experience like that, it's not a problem, but I was moving, and Will was the hardest one, to be honest. He was really giving me a hard time, and that's when he pushed really hard. But in the end of the day, it was a great race. I mean, obviously the car was great, but the 11 seemed to be really fast. I don't know, I heard it, he lapped everyone in the field, but one point I said, man, those guys in front of me, they don't have tires. I got to push, and I pushed as hard as I could. Just a little bit short, but in the end of the day, he got a good points for the championship. We'll probably move up a little bit and we'll keep going.
Juan Pablo extends his lead in the championship. You maybe did you have a chance to win this race if you didn't have the pit speed penalty?
I think early on we did. We could keep up with Bourdais pretty easy, and yeah, we were with Bourdais there, and then at the end we made some changes and the car wasn't as good. But everybody did. And Team Penske did an amazing job. Our Verizon Chevy was good again. I don't know what happened then I got a pit violation. I got there, I pressed the button, and for some reason it just didn't click. And when I got it back on the gas to get the pit right, went, it jumped. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like I stopped, I'm like, don't worry about it, you're gonna hear it in a second.
You were on older Firestones late in the race. What's the challenge when somebody like Elio is coming up on fresher tires?
Well, that is not a problem because, being a teammate, Elio, I wanted to see if I could hold him, and I noticed I couldn't, so go. Then Graham came and he passed me, and then next guy was Dixon, and we had enough laps on the tires already where Dixon couldn't pass me, so made it fun.
Elio, this is probably a bittersweet place. You got your first podium here, won your first pole back in the 90s, but now this is second 3 times, and I understand that you've now finished second more than anybody else other than Mario Andretti. You passed Bobby Rahal for that, but so close.
Wow, what an honor. Again, this place is it's special for me. I mean, it's a great place. It's tradition. It's part of the heritage of Verizon IndyCar Series. We gotta keep coming over here. I hope you guys had a great fun. It was hairy sometimes out there, let me tell you. But in the end of the day, it was tough. I want to wish my dad a happy birthday, a friend of mine as well in New York is a happy birthday. Guys, next time I'll give you a better present first, but I'll take second today, especially where we started.
From 24th to second for Elio, Juan Pablo finishes 4th. Jan?
And a great drive today for Graham Rahal, definitely in the mix, especially at the end. Those last few laps when you had fresh tires and you're pushing, that looked like that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good. We actually had scuff tires on there, and I was a little worried if some guys had stickers, but we were pushing awfully hard, and I'm really, really proud of this Steak and Shake, Maxim, DA Lubricant team. Everybody keeps working really hard and just putting ourselves in a position to succeed, and the car was pretty darn good there in the race. It was really unfortunate that that we just got behind Elio and Bourdais there. I don't know how, but I guess through strategy and everything else. But this team, I mean, they put us in that position, right? I mean, we were, 8th, 7th, and they got us 3 spots in the pits, and I got a couple more on the restart, and it was clear sailing from there. But, good day of points, really good day in points. That's the whole objective right now, is just to keep putting ourselves up there in the points in the championship. I guess we're tied for 3rd, but we're not far behind Dixon now, so we can smell it. We're going to keep pushing hard here.
We did just see that replay of the restart that you mentioned. The booth was talking about how you were able to force your way through there. You've been doing that this year without contact. They said it all comes down to confidence. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, just when I see a hole, I'm going to take it. And Wilson left a gap there on the inside, and I knew my car was one of the best down low there, right against the curb. So I was going for it. I mean, at this point, I gotta beat these guys. And so sitting back and getting defensive ain't going to do any good for us. And so, I just felt like there's a couple spots there, a couple opportunities, and other than that, I mean, you really just had to wait for your opportunity. So I knew on the restart was my best chance. But like I said, I'm really, really proud of this team because these guys keep working hard. We were terrible here the last couple of years, and to come out of here with a 3rd is like, it's better than a victory probably.
I know you're so proud of the team, but you did get out of the car questioning about pit strategy because there were a couple of different ways to go. Did you like the way you decided?
Well, in the end, we just went back to what everybody else is doing. But to start, we went longer, about 10 laps longer than everybody else, to try to do a 3-stop race. Well, then for some reason we bailed on it 30 laps later. And if you're going to do that, you need to try to see it through. And so I was a little frustrated, but with all the yellows that came, I mean, it had been so green up to that point. Who would have known that there's going to be 3 or whatever yellows after that? But all in all, it was a good day.
Graham Rahal, great race to watch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, terrific day, and it's moved him up considerably in the points. Take a look at this. So Montoya extends from 46 to 54. We have a new man in second. That's Scott Dixon. New 3rd place guy. That's Graham Rahal, who we just heard from, who's on the same points level as Helio Castroneves. The big story, Will Power, reigning series champion, lost not only 2nd place, but falls now 70 points behind. And it was because of this. If you weren't with us a little earlier, we're on board with Ryan Briscoe. Briscoe is going to lose it here after being overtaken by Tony Kanaan. He said it just had nothing there. I felt like I was in an aeroplane. And behind him was Will Power. There he is up the road. He collected him on the outside. Watch this. Briscoe spins. Power almost makes it. And that brought an end to the reigning IndyCar Champions Day and sees him fall from 2nd to 5th in points. And there are only 4 races left. It builds for a thriller for those final 4. More from Milwaukee when we come back.